Alrighty. Welcome back to the podcast. What is good? Where's Jessica?
Oh, where is Jessica?
Oh. So Jessica's not here, but there is a celebrity among us. And I always say when celebrities, I said when a celebrity comes onto my channel for the first time, I will ask them, how does it feel that you are sitting here next to me?
Hey, listen, I am always blessed to sit beside my daughter. Always.
I was gonna say, do you guys understand who this is? But he said it, and so this is my daddy. My daddy. I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you. I'm happy that you invited me. Finally.
Well, it's like I'm going to ask you. I need people to know your name. So, what is Daddy's name aside from Daddy?
My name is Alvin D. Smith, and I will leave the D to your own imagination.
And what does Alvin mean?
Alvin means noble friend. Noble friend.
Yeah, and see, I had to ask you that because that is exactly what you've been in my life. I told you, now being in adulthood, you're not only my dad, you're my friend, you're my best friend. And I love that. I love that transition. But your name speaks that.
Yeah, you know what? It also means beloved of others.
Well, that's easy.
Or greatly beloved.
Well, that's easy. It's easy to love. You're easy to love. You really are.
Yeah, bless the Lord.
Yes.
That's good.
So I wanted to talk to you. I love talking to you about anything, everything. But today I wanted to talk to you about how you have all girls. You have 3 girls.
3 girls.
And that's crazy. So what I was going to say about that is, what does it feel like to have raised all women?
You know, it's people ask me that all the time, especially men who have, young girls, and they have all girls, and they ask me for, some insight and some, instructions as to what I should do, because they look at you and Jessica and even Shay, and they see so much success, and they see us, 2 very well-mannered girls, very professional, and very sold out to Jesus, and they see your character, and they see just how much you love your parents, and your respect and your pride that you take in, being the kind of person that wants to be emulated and wants other people to look up to, and so they want to get some insight as to what I did, as to be able to, impart that into you and Jessica. But you and Jessica were just a joy to raise and to father, and just to love. You were easy. It wasn't difficult, and I think that's why a lot of parents, they always kind of bleed their kids. It's because what they put in their kids, And with me, the things I put into you guys, and the instruction, the teaching, the parenting, the love, the respect, the honor, for adults and those that were over you. Because I put that into you girls, it was hard for me to believe that, you would do something mischievous, but it didn't mean that you wouldn't do anything mischievous, because, you are human beings, and, you have a fallen nature just like everybody else. So, but I was very blessed to be able to have such wonderful little kids to work with, because you guys you love life, you loved each other, and it was pleasant.
I like that, because the thing that I love too, though, is that you parented me and Jessica in different ways, according to who we are. That's what I think is really powerful, is because you learned who I was as an individual and then spoke to me differently. So I was going to ask, did you just have to learn our characteristics and then see how you could impart information accordingly? Because, I have a different character than Jessica does.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's completely true. The Bible says to train up a child in the way that he or she should go. And so that means their bent, their inclination. And so I saw that you were inclined to certain things and Jessica was inclined to certain things. And, you being young, you were very outspoken, very, very articulate, even when you were just a little, like 2 years old. I remember Pastor Warner calling Sierra Leone back in the day when we had a phone, and it finally worked. And he called and you answered the phone. And I took the phone from you. He goes, Alvin, who's that? I go, that's Georgia. He goes, should she be talking like that? She sounds much older. And you were always that person, that child that was well among your years, and I saw that in you. And Jessica, she was more timid. She's more like a mom, more shy. But she still had that desire to show that she had gifting as well. And so when she was real young, I put her into music. She started playing the clarinet, and now she plays the saxophone.
By ear.
Yeah. And she reads music as well.
Yeah.
So you see those two different, veins, that you guys begin to move now. So.
And I think also the environment that you fostered at home, because we had the ability to be with you and to talk to you about literally anything and everything. I think we have to be real in speaking to the fact that you were the one who bought me my first bra, my first, my pads, my underwears. You took me to the store. You figured out what sizes this was and that. So you were constantly bringing in these different things that other dads, they didn't have to do. And that was because of our situation, given, a lot of the problems and the hardships that mommy was facing during the time. But you were just knit to who we were. Like, it was so natural. It was so easy for us to be like, oh, Dad, we need this, or we need pads or whatever. And you'd be like, okay, you go and just do it. And so I was going to ask you, how was that for you?
Well, I've always been very... I don't know, just a very person that interacts and just, I love to help people. So it wasn't, it might've been a little bit off the beaten path to do certain things that I was doing, but in the arena of helping and making sure that you had what you needed, that was something that was a kind of a natural outflow of who I am, and so it was, some people look at it being like, oh my God, I can't believe you did that. But, to this day, I still took you guys shopping.
Yes.
And
Daddy
love doing
it.
it.
Yeah.
Love doing it. And a lot of people don't, when I was young, what was put in me, the impartation, my father was a worker. He taught us how to work, and so from a very young age, I did a lot of chores, and today I'm still doing the same thing. I mop the floor, I wash dishes, I make beds, and so a lot of people go, I can't believe, but that was put in me, and so
you taught me how to iron clothes.
Yeah,
you taught me. I remember even long before I even met Tim or anything. You taught me how to iron men's clothes, how to make the crease in the pants, how to get everything correct and just make it look crisp, and with the starch, everything. It was down to it. But you instilled things in us that was on both ends too, where we knew about hard work. We knew about tires, and, you talking to us about gas mileage and all these different things. We weren't lost.
Yeah, it's funny. I remember taking Jessica to the grocery store, and we're getting stuff, and we got a list, and Jessica would just go and grab something and throw it into the basket, and she would never look at the price.
Yeah, this is the thing.
And I said, hold on for a second, Jessica. You can't just go grab it. I want you to look at the price of what we're paying, and it's that old adage where they say, you think money grow on trees, and so just teaching kids, because one of the things my dad would always say, he said, people need to be taught, and I think that's one of the biggest problems in our society today, is the lack of discipleship on every level.
Yeah.
At home,
yes.
At the job,
yes.
You can call it mentorship. You can use whatever name you want to put in there, but the impartation and teaching people, because we expect people to do right.
Yeah.
But if you teach them right, then you should expect them to do right. And so we need to, whether you're a carpenter, you have to teach people how to be a better carpenter. You're a photographer. Those that hands-on. That's what Jesus did the 3 years of his ministry. He's walking with these guys, and he is imparting. He is teaching them. He is showing them the way. He's not just banging out orders, and saying, do this, do this. No. He has divested himself of his pre-existent glory. He has stepped down through 42 generations. He's humbled himself, stepped into the dressing room of Mary, and became a man just to show us how to live as a man, just to show us how to treat people, to show us how to love folks, to show us how to forgive, show us how to be merciful. And so this has to be something that we understand, because we're expecting people, well, they should. No. People have to be taught on every level. The Bible says that the aged women should teach the younger women how to be discreet, how to be keepers at home, how to love their own husbands. That the word of God be not blasphemed. And so there's this lack, there's this gap. We go to church, we do this, but there's a gap of that impartation, and that invest in yourself and other people to see them taught.
And that's one thing there's three things. One is mental finesse. The whole development of that came from that idea of that concept of people needing to be taught, to actually be walked through things in their life, not just told, oh, be a nicer wife, oh, be a better husband, but no, how? Actually giving people understanding so that they can actually have empowerment to do it for themselves, by themselves. Just giving out little orders doesn't actually allow for someone to walk through it and to feel like they can apply it to their lives. So that was one thing that mental finesse looked to do in all stages across life, to prepare.
Hallelujah.
And then the other thing that you said that was really amazing to me was being taught what to do, so it's imparted into you so that you can do something with that. You always showed us forgiveness, what that looked like. Okay, you would come, and if you felt like there was something you didn't handle correctly, you would come and you would apologize to us. That's how Daddy was. You would apologize to us. You taught us that, and through that, today I'll pick up the phone and call someone, or stop by in person and apologize to them. That's how you did it. You would come to us and say, "Hey, I'm sorry."
Absolutely.
And that's what was powerful. It instilled in me from a young age what that looked like, so that when I got married to my husband and I was having a bad attitude, or when I was having a bad attitude towards you, I'd come to you and be like, "Dad, I'm sorry. Tim, I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have treated you that way," and it released so much out of me, because there was nothing to be tensed up, no poison, no erosion, So these healthy traits that you developed in us,
Yeah, and so again, that's passed down, because I learned it from my daddy. And my daddy would come to us and he would say, "I come to you godly sorrow." If I've done anything, to hurt you, or that was wrong, please forgive me. I mean, my dad would say that, and this is the art of parenting. It's a skill and it's an art, because you learn it and you understand that it is something that can be imparted into another. They can take it and it continues to go on. As we say in Sierra Leone, tete go. That means forever.
That makes me feel good about parenting for my own kids then, because I always say, whatever Daddy did, if I can do something like that, I can do it right, because I have this relationship that's so close with you that That's what I want, you know?
Well, it's interesting because in Genesis, you know, we learn that God he's a family God. He's just, you know, I'm the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And so what he's actually teaching us is that success is transgenerational. Success is not necessarily seen in me, but it's seen in my children and in my grandchildren. That's real success.
Wow. Yeah, that's beautiful.
And so that's that Tete go that God wants you to impart, to invest, and to give, and it's gonna reciprocate back to you, but it's gonna continue to flow from generation to generation.
But you know what's cool about that too is that in the time in which it's been flowing from generation to generation, and now will flow to the next generation. What I have seen though is glory from glory to glory. Right. That in your life you continue to reciprocate and continue to develop and get better and better and better. You haven't stopped parenting just because I'm a certain age. Yes. It hasn't changed. You've only gotten better with it, and it's even more tangible. You see what I mean? Yes. That's what I find is powerful, is that, you know, it's like in him we are new, in God we are completely changing and changing. You're constantly changing. You're constantly going to the next level. And I feel like that's the same way your parenting has been. It hasn't ceased. Yes.
You know, one quote that I read, it says, "When I'm at my best, I'm my daddy's daughter." and so that's what I'm saying. That parenting is being seen in you as your life develops, as you grow, as you evolve, you know, as God continues to mold and shape you, and people begin to see the image of God formed in you, and they start to see that all of a sudden, you know, that's where, you know, the father or the parent becomes very blessed because people see it in you.
Yes. It's so, and you know, and also the depiction of you teaching us from the time we were young. You know, you had me be in situations where we didn't have a TV. We had no TV in the house or anything, so we were raised with reading. I read all the time. That's all we did. You would take me to get my Nancy Drew books, all my different books. I was reading constantly, and I was constantly surrounded by adults, and you would welcome me in. You'd put me on your lap, and I'd be there. You'd read books to me these books you would have the dictionary, you'd have all these books out about theology that you were reading, and just sit me on your lap and just be reading them, and I'd just be taking in all these different words, you know? And so I look at that education from the time of being younger, and it's been easy for me in the sense because it was instilled in me so naturally and so easily, you know. And so but you were so specific too. You took into account what we'd be reading. Okay. Right. Because one time I remember at school I had gotten the Goosebumps series, and you're like, what is that? And I was like, oh, it's about gargoyles. I'm like, gargoyles, nothing. And you're like, and you told me, I remember you were like, look, if you read that book, you're going to have bad dreams. And I was like, oh no. Worse. I threw that book back to the library in the school the next day because it was the worst ever. But you were serious about what we read, what we were intaking, what we were looking at, you know? Yes. And I really appreciate that now growing up because, it's important. Yes. Yes. It's so important. What you're feeding your mind is what's going to be translated, how you're going to speak, how you're going to think, you know?
It's said that parenting is a skill and an art, and one component is guidance or protection, and not just protecting in the sense of, you know, from, you know, someone physically hurting you, but from things in the world, you know, from the resources of the world that you can tap into that could be counterproductive, you know, and that could hurt you. And so a parent has to be very watchful, you know. Yes. They have to be very insightful as to what's going on, what the schools are doing, what they're putting in front of their kids, because you know, as they say, garbage in, garbage out. So
I know, because things have changed now. I mean, when we were younger, you know, we would listen to these cartoons on PBS Kids. And I remember, I don't know if you'll remember this, but I remember Caillou. And Caillou was on, and you were listening to it with us as we were going to school. And he's like, Rosie, no, I don't want to do that. He's like talking to his mom, he calling her all these different things. And you're like, Caillou, what is it? No, you're like, this man, he has no respect for his parents. Like, you're like turning it off. But I mean, seriously, now you can look and see these cartoons and these different things that just parents can put their kids in front of and just think it's mindless. But actually, it's whiny, it's complaining, it's all these different things. And you'd be like, you're not listening to that, you know? So I really appreciate that you would always be monitoring what we see here and who we're around. Yes. That was another thing.
Yes.
You were very serious about who we were hanging around with. You weren't into sleepovers. That if they came over to our house, you know, but it was very, very rare that we were doing any sleepover situations, you know. And I want to say that like you really protected us and covered us, because you don't know what goes on in everyone's homes. Right.
Absolutely. And you know, and it's not that, you know, you're questioning people, but you understand that, you know, kids are kids. And you know, we live in a world that, you know, we have very little control over things that are outside of our reach. And so as a child, you want to be as, you know, as protective in a way that you're not smothering, but in the same time, you know, you're teaching and you're giving liberty for things that are necessary.
Yes, and you did that. You gave liberty for things that are necessary. Okay, for instance, we were allowed to put, you know, the Jonas Brothers, people that we liked, different artists that we liked on our wall, right? I mean, even Paramore, we had different things. And the cool thing about you was you would come in the room, you would listen to Paramore with us. You would listen to these songs with us and then ask us questions about, well, what are they talking about for this? Or like really walking us through what the person is saying. And so instead of you just saying, turn that off, you would listen to something and then be like, you would talk to us about it. And then we would go, oh man, this doesn't really, I guess this not really like a good message in the end. And then we would end up for ourselves making the choice like, no, I'm not going to listen to that anymore. You know, but it was the way you did it that was so like the liberty to have what you wanted to have and understand what was necessary and what wasn't, what was going to further me and what wasn't going to further me.
You know, when you look at the Bible, you find out that this is a way much of the leaders dealt with the people. Now, again, you're talking about a father and his children. And so there's different, it's a different dynamic there. But the truth is that they would use terms like, choose you this day who you're going to serve. You know, choose the good and refuse the evil. So what was happening is that they were giving them a choice. You know, if Baal be the one you want to serve, then follow Baal. If Jehovah is the one you want to serve, then follow Jehovah. And so what would happen is that the people now had to sit back and they had to begin to decide by going back and revisiting the track record of Jehovah and Baal and said, wait a minute, you know, I think we'll go with Jehovah, right? And so what has to happen, you can try to make people or force people to serve God and do what's right, but it's not really going to work out.
Yes, sir.
And so if you could teach them again, and you can kind of put before them these choices and decisions, you know, you might be a lot more successful, you know, in your attempts to steer them in the right direction.
And how did you feel confident in knowing we would make that choice? Because you had instilled God into us so deeply that you knew that. Because I mean, you would be out of town and I would still have personal conviction of, no, I'm not going to do that. And not just because, oh, my dad, you know, I could do what I wanted to do. And I knew, no, I'm not going to do that. Kids were getting drunk in high school and having hangovers the next day. And I'd be like, no, that's not something I want to engage in. You know, just even being promiscuous. It just wasn't something that I wanted to do. It was a personal choice that I just made, you know, but how did you know that would be okay? You know, that's a great question, because what it does, it makes me kind of go back
and just kind of revisit my childhood. But I remember my parents, and you're talking about Georgia, you're talking about the late '60s and the early '70s, raising us up, in our childhood, adolescent years, and you're talking about two parents that came from down in the deep South. My father only went to the 10th grade. My mother graduated school and went to technical school and learned a great trade as a drafter. But their love for God, especially my father's love for God, was paramount. It's the most important thing in his life. And so he instilled those things in us. But their teaching and their the way that they allowed us to do things was a lot different than a lot of Christian parents today. And we went to different places that we probably shouldn't have went to, but because my dad did instill truth in us, and he prayed for us, and he loved us, and we saw it in him. See, we saw it in him.
Yes.
And I'll never forget. I was probably about 15 years old, and I was doing my own thing, living in sin, in the world, just a 15-year-old kid, I wasn't a bad kid, but I was doing some bad things. And I never forget, one night I was going into my room and I looked across, and my father's room and my mom's room was right across, and my dad was at the foot of his bed on his knees, and he was praying for me. And he was crying out to God for me and for all of us, really. And that, it stuck with me. And so when I got saved in Tucson, it was at an altar call, and the guy stood up and he preached, and he said these words: "There's someone sitting here right now, and your mother and father have been praying for you." When he said that, it's like someone turned the faucet on, and I just began to weep in front of all of these people, all of these, I was trying to be cool, but I'm sitting in this rec center on the Air Force Base, and when he said that, it's like the Spirit of God just brought that scene right back to my mind, that image of my dad kneeling down, the foot of his bed praying for me. And so what I'm saying is, he didn't do everything the way that you would think he should do it, because he probably didn't have a lot of those things in him. But what he did do, he laid hold of God. And he showed us God in his own life. And as a result of that, I sit here today with my beautiful daughter.
Yes. Oh, that's so good. Yeah. I get so lost in that. Yeah. I can see Papa being down there and just praying for you, and how that probably just felt in your spirit. Even looking back now, you could probably see it.
Oh yeah. It's indelibly etched, in my mind,
Oh man, I don't know. That just really moved me right there. And I think in another way too that I wanted to speak to, a trait that you passed down was one part of athleticism, how it led to me really developing the understanding of the mind because of working with different components of, learning to sprint or learning to run. All these different aspects start to teach me about what the mind does for you that leads to the body in turn following through, right? So one thing that I wanted to say that was really powerful that you may or may not have realized, but you really did this on your own. This is a different trait you had, and I would say separately from your parents, even though Papa did have a garden. But you instilling what we ate. You did always make sure that we were not eating things that were processed, that you really made sure that it was natural, whole foods, plant-based foods. We were eating vegetables. We were eating good things, good quality food. And that really has shaped my mind. And I really feel that, there's a difference in the way children eat now versus the way you raised us into eating, which has in turn changed how I feel, how I think, my energy level, allergies that I was able to combat because of doing that. So I wanted to talk to you about if you do feel that food really, and the mind and the way in which you made that choice, if it was that you wanted us to grow up in that healthy knowledge, like how you came about wanting to do that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so I grew up in Georgia, and my dad had a big garden in the backyard, and he had all the vegetables that you could think of, collard greens and green beans and corn and
Watermelon.
Cabbage and watermelon and apples and peaches and, okra, salad. And so we live with that kind of organic, vegetation around us. And so when I went into the Air Force, I was very disciplined in how, I ate. But what really, really helped me is when I went to Sierra Leone. When I went to Africa, I realized something, that you don't need as much as you think you need. And that's one of America, we have a overabundance of everything. And, the blessing of God is a wonderful thing. But, it's not just for you, And I never forget when we were little, my dad used to go and get groceries. And he was a little kid. When you see food, you think seeing food is time to eat. But just because you see food doesn't mean you're hungry. And so I learned to eat, and I learned a lot of this in Sierra Leone. You need to eat when you're hungry. Because when the Sierra Leoneans come here for Bible conference, we bring them here, they are just inundated with people wanting to take them to go get something to eat. And they're like, Pastor. They're always eat. And it's like you realize that you don't have to eat that much, And so I think that was one of the things that I taught you girls. There's certain things that you don't want to eat. There's certain things you don't need to eat. And there's certain things that's not really food. It's kind of,
what is it exactly?
Junk, it's not food. And so, and I think you guys did well, after you got older and you were able to, kind of look at this and weigh it out and see the results of things. And then you begin to exercise and things like that, and you've taken it to another level. And so, it helps in how you process things, how you look at people, how you think, how you sleep, your energy level, and it's a wonderful thing to be able to have that kind of balance.
Yes, that's what, it's so good. That's what you taught me in so many different ways, is a balance in life and different things like that, not to get too ahead of myself. And how one thing I wanted to mention too, when you spoke about balance, was how you helped me when things were off balance for me. When I went through that year of really hardship of my OCD side, that just like I never experienced anything like that before, and how it was really had a hold over me. It was pulling me back from doing the stuff I needed to do and going forward as I needed to go forward. And you stuck it through with me. You would not relent in being there and showing up there and calling me on the phone and talking to me about it in person, whatever it was. But I just appreciate that so much. I appreciate you being a parent in every part of my life and never stepping out to like offer me the love and support to bring me through. Yes. It's like that song that says somebody's carrying me through, right. You made sure to carry me through, because you were like, Georgia, you have gifts that you need to do something with. And it was a demonic hold trying to keep me indoors from not going outdoors to do what I needed to actually do,
Absolutely.
So I just wanted to tell you, I appreciate that so much.
Well, I'm grateful that God gave me kids that had very big hearts, and at the end of the day, they were able to work through their struggles, understanding that it was much bigger than them. And I think that's really what the Spirit of God was working in your life to say, Georgia, is you're going through this, but you're going to help so many other people, because there's so many other people that are going through even greater struggles and challenges, that you're facing. So I'm thankful for your resiliency, to take a licking but keep on taking.
Yeah. And I'm thankful for your resiliency too, in how you have shown up and being a father to us, a father and a mother, when with everything that's gone on with mommy's hardships, and how you have stuck in the truth of loving us and caring for all of us. You really have been just this, you're monumental, you're Iron Man, you're Superman, you're my favorite man, and like, I just really appreciate, the love that you've shown us, the way that you have raised us, but, the blessing that you have been to my life.
Yes.
You have cultivated a lot of things within me. And if it wasn't for you being there, and people don't see it, they don't know all the stuff, all the things that you helped us through, even when mommy was having all these different challenges. Yeah. And so I love you so much. I appreciate you.
I love you too. And I thank God for you and Jessica have always been just a real source of encouragement to me during times that are very difficult for me as well, and to come alongside of me. And as, especially Jessica, you're married, but Jessica comes and she says, "Dad, it's gonna be all right," and she's just so, Jessica, she's a stormtrooper.
Yeah,
man. She's
a nurturer beyond.
Yeah. She is the woman in the Bible, that is that virtuous woman that is concerned about the household.
Yeah,
she's concerned about people, and she wants to make sure everyone's all right.
Yeah,
and, without even taking any recognition.
Yep. No matter what's going on.
And she has been just a tremendous blessing. I just can't wait till God blesses her and does wonderful things in and through her life. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I am too. And I'm excited for you. There's so many other parts. It says there's parts of me I still haven't met yet. There's parts of you still haven't met yet. There's more things that are coming. I'm excited.
Absolutely.
Strapped in.
That's good. No doubt.
No
doubt.
But yeah, I'm excited that we did this part 1 portion of the segment, and we will have a part 2 coming out probably in the following. We have, this one will be part 1, part 2, and actually, wrong. It'll be part 3 that you guys want to stay tuned for, because it's going to be really exciting. It's really with the men and being a man and different aspects of what that looks like in your life. Yeah. So I'm really excited for all of that's going to come out of that. But finally, people ask me this, and so I was going to ask you, why did you name me Georgia?
Well, your name is Georgia Sierra.
Okay, there we go.
I'm from the state of Georgia. I love Georgia.
Dogs.
Love the Georgia Bulldogs. And Sierra Leone, love Sierra Leone. And so the people in Sierra Leone love you. As a matter of fact, Georgia, she left Sierra Leone when she was 4 years old, but she could speak the Sierra Leone language like no one's business. I mean, articulate, just the same sound. She was born there, So university, she's a Sierra Leonean, and so in Sierra Leone they call her Sierra.
I didn't know that's cute.
But yeah, so that's why I named you Georgia.
Well, I love it. It was a good choice. Good choice.
Amen.
So I wanted to, that concludes the segment, and I want you guys to all continue to stay tuned. And thank you, Daddy, for being here. I love you.
God bless you.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.